this is Jamie Magridge. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'd like to show you how I made this card. It's truly a simple stamping card, except I added a couple blings. It's not necessary, but I just was playing, so let me show you how I made it. I used Beautiful Friendship stamp set. That's the only stamp set I used. I have a piece of Whisper White, which is 4 by 5 1/4. And a piece of melon mambo, which is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. I have a piece of, let's see, I forgot what color it is, Blackberry Bliss. And this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I'll have a card base, which is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. It'll be scored and folded at 4 1/4. Okay, so let's get started. Let's put these aside. I'm going to be using this one, the sentiment, either one of these sentiments. I'm going to do birthday one. This flower, and this leaf. Okay. I'm going to be using Melon Mambo ink, Highland Heather, and Mossy Meadow. And for this card you need a mask, so you can either use a Post-it note or some masking paper. And this particular masking paper is Avery. Let me put you on pause and find the package so I can actually show you. Sorry about that. It's Avery removable, put it this way so you can see it, removable ID labels. You can find it at like Staples or Office Max, that kind of place. And let me show you how I did this. I just took a piece of Post-it note. I didn't fold it so the sticky was together. I folded it the other way. I'll do two at once. They work the same way. Just fold it in half. And like you did when you were a kid, you're just going to cut out a heart. I'm going to go ahead and use one that I already did because I know it's the right size. Let me show you how I did it. I just took my scissors, and cut out a heart like you did when you were in elementary school. Okay, and there you have it. Alright, and try it on your card. If it's too big, cut it down smaller, vice versa. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and try using the Post-it note. And I just stuck it in the middle. The Post-it notes that have the sticky all over would be best. But this one just has a sticky there. Alright, and I'm going to bring in this stamp first. And the Melon Mambo ink, and I'm going to take advantage of this edge being closer to the edge. I'm going to ink up just the flowers on this, right on the corner. Can you see what I'm doing there? Okay, then I'm going to open the Mossy Meadow. You can do this with your Stampin' Write markers as well if you'd rather. Now I'm going to wipe off a little bit of that red ink that's on that part that should probably be leaves, and I'm going to just stamp on the corner and get that green on there. Okay, now I'm going to stamp this ones down here. You want to catch the edge of your heart so that when you go to take it off, you can actually tell what it is. Okay, now it is important that you clean it between inkings so that you don't cross-contaminate. I'm going to do another one up here at the top. Let's ink up that flower, ink up this flower. Come over to the green. Hope you can see what I'm doing here. Ink up just the stems and that little bit on the bottom of those flowers. Stamp that up in here. Okay, I'm done with that one. Now let's come in with this rose. I'm going to stamp a few of those. Stamp one here. Ink it up. Stamp another one over here, a little bit higher. Ink it up. Stamp one over here. Which way do I want it? I'm going to bring in a scrap paper in case I go off the page. A couple down here. Okay, now I'm going to come in with the Highland Heather ink. Done with this one. And I want to bring in that, it looks like heather or lavender. I'm going to go right around this edge of this flower, a heart here. And I'm going to stamp it again without re-inking. I'm going to stamp a couple down here. Now, if you don't want to stamp into your flowers, bring in a scratch paper, that piece that you cut off. Just set it down over the top of them. And again, I want to make sure I'm stamping over the edge of that heart so that it gets a definition of what it is. Set this down here. Okay, now we'll come in with the, we're done with the purple ink. Come in with those leaves and the green ink, and we'll fill in with some leaves. And again, I'm going to double stamp. Just because it fills it in. Don't have to do it every time if you don't want. Some up here. Cover over this rose again. Cooperate. No, it doesn't matter. Okay. Now any place where there's spaces, I'm going to come in with the corner of this and fill in a little bit of foliage, just so that there's some color all the way around the heart. Okay, then take your mask off. And isn't that awesome? Just like that. Then I'm going to come in and stamp my sentiment. This one I stamped it in red. This one I think I'm going to stamp it in the green. I think I didn't clean my stamp. So it's going to look black, but awesome. Okay, now on this one, I just took a black pen and just drew a squiggly line, and I drew several of them. You could leave it like this. You wouldn't need to do anything else to it. That's why it's so important to make sure you get that little bit of stamping around the edge so that you can actually tell what it is. So we'll come in with a marker. In this instance, I'm just going to use a Copic multiliner. Actually, let me find my black Stampin' Right marker. That would probably work just as well. And I'm going to use the fine tip. And literally, all I did is did a squiggly line. The more squiggly, the better. This is a little more of a thicker line than the Copic marker. And then I'm going to do another right next to it, but not exactly the same squiggle. And I'm going to do that a couple of times. It just defines the... Now if you have the new heart stamps, one of those has an outline, you could use the punch. Okay, and that's all there is to it. Oh, I kind of like the finer lines better. That's pretty. Now with the punch, you could use the punch to punch out your post-it note or your masking tape, and then you could use the stamp to stamp the image around there. That would be really pretty, but I don't have that one, so I had to make do. Right now we're just going to layer it up. I'll bring in our Tombow glue. Oh, before I put this on there, I'm going to add, this is just washi tape I had in my stash. I'm trying to use up my stash. So basically I'm just going to put a little strip of this around over on this one edge. It's about 1/8 of an inch from the border. Wrap it around the back. Now I'm going to glue it on. I have all this stashed and I'm not using any of it because I started using Stampin' Up. I need to use my stash so I can justify buying more Stampin' Up, and I don't have stuff just sitting here. Okay, move this to the other layer. Okay, now I'm going to bring in my card base. Bring in my trimmer. Now I'm going to look at this card. The card has a natural inclination. See how it's got, I don't know if you can see it, it's got a little bit of a bow there. That's the side you're going to want to put down. That's the natural curve of the paper. Then you're going to score it at 4 1/4. And I turn it over while it's still. Put those two corners, edges up against the edges. Fold it over. Nest those opposite corners into the edges. Okay, it's not cooperating with me. And then I'm going to bring in a bone folder. Right close. Increase it. That way if your score is a little bit off, you still have a perfect fold because you have it nested into the corner and the corners are lined up. It's not perfect, but it helps. Alright, now we'll mount this to our card base. we go. There's the card we just made together. Here's the one I did previously. Well, thank you for joining me at Jamie's Craft Table. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you can find some time to play with some stamps, inks, and paper.